Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and I'm here talking about the NBA news. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're just going to get right into it here, because this could be a possible long video. So, Lonzo Ball's tenure with Chicago, it's likely coming to an end, and a buyout is possible, per Darnell Mayberry, a Bulls writer. End quote, they acquired Josh Giddey today, which I'll talk about that trade. The acquisition of Josh Giddey, aka Josh Giddey, also further clouds the Bulls' plans for recovering point guard Lonzo Ball, who hasn't played since January of 2022, but is expected to make a comeback next season. It's possible to not view Giddey as insurance in case Ball doesn't return. It's impossible basically not view him as insurance in case maybe he doesn't return. By bringing in Giddey, the Bulls also might have signaled they're ready to move on from Ball. A trade or buyout could be likely, end quote. Hopefully, he can go get a fresh start somewhere else, because the injuries really fucked him over, and them getting Josh Giddey tells me they're going to get rid of Lonzo Ball. I mean, yeah, he had a good career for the Bulls when he was healthy. They played good when he was playing, but I mean, it could be a low-risk, high-reward signing for some team if he's bought out. Like, it could be a low-risk, high-reward. Because Lonzo Ball, the start of his career wasn't good, but he improved, especially on the Bulls. He really helped that team when he was actually healthy and was good. The 76ers, they are not active in trade talks centered around Zach LaVine, and they have no interest in acquiring him, per Kyle Neubeck. They basically said no. I mean, they need a wing, we'll be honest here. No more guards. Taking the ball out of Maxi's hand, but he does thrive as an off-ball guard, but I don't know if Zach LaVine and Tyrese Maxey, if that would work out. But I'm not surprised, because they already have Maxey, and you need a wing. So, but it feels like the 76ers aren't going to get anyone. If they don't get Paul George, who I expect them to get, then I have no clue they're going to get, honestly. There is a quote growing trade market for Zach LaVine, per at J Cali Hoops. LaVine could be the next Bull traded as emoji. Growing trade market. I don't think his trade market's going to be any high. Like, yeah, he's still a good player, but he's not as good as he used to be. I mean, the issue is if he's not good and underrated, then it's a Tobias 2.0 situation. But somebody could trade for him, but knowing the Bulls, they're going to keep him. Per KCJ Hoop, the Utah Jazz are a team to monitor for Zach LaVine. That means they must not want to move Lauri Markkanen, because if they're a team to monitor for Zach LaVine, that tells me they're trying to go out there and get a big score. They're going to try and win. And they're not meant to tank. They're not trying to tank. Their team is middle of the pack good enough to almost make the playoffs. Just tanking won't work for them. And you want to try and win like you have Lauri Markkanen on your team. But I don't know if he fits the rebuilding timeline for the Utah Jazz. That's the problem, though. I just don't know if he fits that rebuild timeline. Per Gambo 987, Eric Gordon, he is not expected to return to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know. Maybe he could be a solid piece. He's a streaky shooter when he gets it going. When he gets it going. When he doesn't. He's just a cone on defense. Doesn't bring anything to the table. But he can maybe be a good 15, 20 minute guy off the bench that you can maybe have as a 3-point shooter. But other than that, he doesn't really bring much to the table. So, in the OKC Thunder Chicago Bulls trade per JX Lorenzi, or how you say that name. The OKC Thunder, they didn't attach any picks to Josh Giddey to acquire Alex Caruso. Classic Bulls sale. They robbed the Bulls with no mask. The Bulls need to be investigated. Giddey is young. You'll say Giddey's young and full potential. Nezzy, the Bulls literally fleeced. And also, it's reported, and they're active on the trade market. Maybe it's a fire sale. Are we finally seeing that rebuild? Maybe. But here's the reason the Bulls were wanted to make this trade, which is per Woj, by the way. Josh Giddey has all-star potential. The Bulls have been determined to find a playmaker to replace Lonzo Ball and Giddey, age 21. Comes with an all-star potential. You sure about that? That would unlikely be realized with the Thunder because of the playmaking star power who surrounded them. Okay. All-star potential and Josh Giddey do not belong in the same sentence. Just like maybe find a jump shot and he could be onto something. Because yeah, he's a good rebounder. He's a solid defender, but maybe even a mid-range shot. Like he's on a good jump shooter. I don't see him as a all-star potential type player. He peaked his first few years. His first few years he was good, but now he's just not that great of a player. And you gave up a perimeter defender. You could have got much more for Alex Caruso than that. That's just my opinion, though. So Kenny Atkinson is a strong candidate to become the next head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers per Terry Pluto. And quote, I'm hearing the Cavs getting up where they started the season with Kenny Atkinson. The former Brooklyn head coach was high on Cleveland's list in the beginning in his interviews. Atkinson did nothing to change that opinion. The Cavs liked him a lot back then, and they still do. I mean, I think Kenny Atkinson would be better than J.B. Bickerstaff. I didn't think J.B. Bickerstaff was that good. Obviously, if you say he was, you probably didn't follow the Cavaliers. What made no sense was his offensive vision, and I feel like Kenny Atkinson would have a better offensive vision than J.B. Bickerstaff. I mean, he's better than Kerr. He took D'Lo and the married band of Misfits to the playoffs in 2019. Like, he took a Nets team with D'Lo to the playoffs. So, assistant coaching candidates for the Lakers, they hired J.J. Redick today, Rajon Rondo, Jared Dudley, Sam Cassell, and Scott Brooks. And quote, assistant coaching candidates for Redick's staff will include former head coach and recent Trailblazers assistant Scott Brooks, former Lakers guard Rajon Rondo, ex-Laker and current Dallas Mavericks assistant Jared Dudley, and Sam Cassell, according to league sources. Man, that'd be pretty good if Rajon Rondo on that coaching staff. But two coaches you'd say with no experience, though. That's the thing with J.J. Redick. Like, he's knowledgeable, but he has no coaching experience. And it come out today per Woj, J.J. Redick has agreed on a 4-year contract to become the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, per Woj. And it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. Like, yeah, J.J. Redick, he's a good, like I said, he's a good basketball mind. I think he's smart. He knows what he's doing. But no coaching experience and a roster that is okay, and we'll consider this a championship team. But Kendrick Perkins is, I will say this though, Kendrick Perkins is a freaking clown. He thinks AD could demand a trade. That's all I have to say about the J.J. Redick hire. I think he's knowledgeable, but I'm interested to see how it goes. But now we're talking about Kendrick Perkins. He thinks AD, he could demand a trade. He said it on the NBA today. If J.J. Redick's not thriving and Anthony Davis not playing elite level, he's not happy. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants out of LA. I'm going to give it till the All-Star break. What is this dude even talking about, man? He got hired when NBA Today was on, the dude got hired like 20 minutes before this. and talking about trades. Like the season the next season, like it just ended. Like, how are you gonna talk about, oh, AD can demand a trade? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, Kendrick Perkins has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. So the Lakers, they believe that JJ Redick, he could be their version of Eric Spoelstra, per Shams Charania. And quote, 39-year-old Redick checks many of the boxes on the Lakers' extensive checklist for their coach. He's drawn internal comparison to a young Pat Riley as a coaching prospect who jumped from playing to the broadcast booth to the coaching chair. Los Angeles is confident he can be their version of Eric Spoelstra or Steve Kerr. By the way, Steve Kerr was on, Greg Popovich's staff before he went to the Warriors. That's not really a good example, because he was on one of the greatest coaches of all time, one of the greatest coaches of all time's staff. A culture stater who can grow with the franchise for over a decade. He's going to get fired in a year, and they'll have to pay the rest of his contract. Don't ever compare these two again. You're comparing him to one of the greatest coaches of all time in Eric Spoelstra. He's got zero coaching experience, and has to be thrown to coaching the LeBron-fed Lakers. He's not going to be that. Riley was fine because of how he started, but man, Spo spent a decade plus growing with the organization and several years under Pat as an assistant. This isn't a good example. Haslam, he doesn't think Donovan Mitchell wants to stay in Cleveland. I don't know if he's really interested in going back to Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's his first choice. I think he might really want to get out of Cleveland. If you look back, when he was traded to Cleveland, Cleveland wasn't even on his radar and his radar of teams where he wanted to go. It was New York. It was another team down south somewhere. I ain't gonna say no names. Miami Heat, by the way. But it was other teams that he was talking about going to. Cleveland was never on the list of teams he wanted to go to in the first place. He's just trying to ruin the chemistry with teams in the East. You ain't slick there, Haslam. I mean, how do you know? You haven't talked to Donovan Mitchell. How do you know he doesn't want to stay in Cleveland? How do you know he never wanted to go there? Yeah, it may not have been on the list of teams, but how do you know he didn't want to go there? Brian Windhorst says to monitor Paul George's situation in L.A. The Clippers could sign Paul George this afternoon, which didn't happen. But the fact they are not seemingly reacting to what his market clear is something to pay attention to, end quote from First Take. I wouldn't pay him, he probably wants, what, 50 plus million? I wouldn't pay him that. The Chicago Bulls have floated 15 different trade proposals centered around Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings, Orlando Magic, and Philadelphia 76ers, per KCJ Hoop. Zach LaVine's future is the only trade scenario that has been discussed, even if sources said Karinasovas, I'm trying to hurry through this, has floated as many as 15 proposals centered on two-time All-Star guard to various teams, including the Sacramento Kings, Orlando Magic, and Philadelphia 76ers. Man, nobody really wants him. Bill Simmons says the Boston Celtics wants the Boston Celtics to draft Bronny James and hold him hostage. Dude, without context, this is wild. But I don't know if he wants to go to the Celtics and hear those racist fans chant the M-word at him. Stephen A. could demand $20 million annually on his next contract. Decisions like this is why ESPN will go downhill if they re-sign this guy. Maybe a quick NBA draft thing here. The Miami Heat, LA Lakers, and Sixers are showing interest in Tristan da Silva. Tristan da Silva is a pretty underrated player. He was good for Colorado. People probably don't know, maybe didn't watch college, but he was really good for them. The Celtics would reportedly have to offer Derek White an average of $31.75 million annually to keep him. I think you pay him what he wants because it's easily worth the price, because it's going to be impossible maybe to find a replacement for him. Draymond Green thinks the Lakers should hire Monty Williams. Draymond working for Braun again, not surprised. That was said this morning before, JJ Redick got hired. The Memphis Grizzlies are potential trade partner for the Houston Rockets on draft day, with Ime Udoka said to be a fan of Marcus Smart. I mean, I feel he could stay in Memphis, but I don't know if he wants to. He could go to the Rockets, give him some veteran presence, maybe, but who knows. There are rumblings the Bucks would like to play more versatile style defense next season, which raises the question of whether Brook Lopez has a future there. Rumors are swirling about the Pelicans offering Brandon Ingram to trade to Houston for Alperen Sengun, but Houston showed no interest. Of course they would. Why would they do that? Trade their star player for washed Brandon Ingram? I mean, that's all the NBA news I want to talk about here. So yeah, until next time, Michael. Peace.